Okay, so I don't know if you heard me in one of the previous videos, but I have never seen an Ice Age movie. I just had no interest. It's honestly kind of impressive how they keep making these movies and not once, I mean even once, have I had an inkling to check them out. Why? Because I always feel like I've seen the best scene in the trailer. That little squirrel woodchuck butt always trying to get the acorn. It's always hilarious, there's no dialogue, it's all slapstick, and it's usually super creative and super funny. And then every time I'd see the mammoth, the tiger, the sloth, I'm like, oh, now it's every other CG film ever made. It didn't look terrible, it just looked frustratingly average. And don't get me wrong, a part of me gets it. It's 2002, people haven't really gotten CG films figured out. What were we at, like Monsters, Inc. at that point? That's fine because back then this got a big screen release and you could tell it was kind of cheaper animation, but still worth being shown on big screen. But now, it looks like a direct-to-DVD movie. But again, I understand different budgets and people wanting to experiment with CG, it's hard to explain. Early experimenting with 3D animation just isn't anywhere near as interesting to me as early experimenting with 2D animation. Maybe if I was a computer animator or something, but this just looks amazing to me, and this looks like shit. I just can't get that much value out of it. So okay, I've gone to all the reasons why I've avoided these movies like the plague, but now for this year's DisneyCember, I'm finally checking them out. What I think of the first one. Sorry to disappoint, it's exactly what I thought I was gonna get. This is gonna be a hard movie to review because let me make it really clear. This is not a bad film, I just don't like it. I think this is a film made specifically for kids. There's not much in it for adults, a little bit, but it's clearly not trying to hit them as much as the kids in the audience, and I think it does that fine. But it does it with stuff I've seen in a million other animated films, and it just makes me wishing I was watching those other animated films. The story takes place, as it spells out, during the Ice Age. A woolly mammoth, played by Ray Romano, befriends a sloth, played by Leguizamo. They discover a baby separated from his family right after the mother is killed by a pack of tigers, and one of the saber-toothed tigers, played by Denis Leary, is supposed to finish the job and kill him off, but he just can't bring himself to do it, and you know the drill. They make an unlikely trio, and they have to take care of the child while trying to get him back to his family. 3 mammals and a baby, I guess. So alright, I'm gonna give you my theory on this movie, and I really mean this. I don't have anything to back it up. This is just a theory. I think this was meant to be a silent film. The CG movie Dinosaur was going to do the same thing, but then they said, no, it can't be silent, they have to talk, and they got a bunch of celebrities together and wrote a bunch of lame dialogue, and we got that movie. I swear this was the same setup, because you could put this on mute and follow everything that's going on. Honestly, the best moments in the movie are silent. The opening scene with that little woodchuck squirrel thing. There's a great moment where the mammoth sees these cave drawings, almost like it's showing his family and what happened to them and the history of his species. And there's not one word uttered. The scenes of the humans traveling, and even when they meet up with the woolly mammoth who has the baby, it's not even like that heart-hugging a scene at first. It's actually kind of intense, and it's not that badly done. No talking through any of those scenes. Had the film been like this throughout the entire thing, I think I would have enjoyed it more. I don't think I would have said it's like a masterpiece or anything, because again, the animation is kind of cheap, but I get it. It was a new animation studio, and it was a new style, CG, I understand. But at least that would have made it unique. But because they did go the traditional route, the animals do talk and they all have celebrity voices, and it's not the worst, it's just so standard. I mean, listen to this opening dialogue. Doesn't it sound like they're just trying to copy Toy Story?
Where's Eddie? He said something about being on the verge of an evolutionary breakthrough.
I'm just saying, how do we know it's an ice age?
Because of all the ice!
I'm flying!
Some breakthrough.
Does anything stand out about it? No, it's just how CG films talked back then, particularly Pixar, because they practically created the style. But where they would add a lot of new twists and turns, this does a lot of the same, and everything you think would happen pretty much happens. But sure, is there anything really bad in it? Is there anything that I'd be like, oh my god, skip this at all costs, it's so painful? No. For the most part, Leguizamo's kind of annoying.
Well, I think you're stressed, and that's why you eat so much. I mean, it's hard to get fat on a vegan diet.
And I thought, whoa, she's gonna go praying mantis or something, you know what I'm saying?
I don't blame him. Honestly, I always find myself kind of rooting for this actor because I feel like he throws in so much passion and he does have so much talent. But he does need a good project, a good script, a good director, and I don't know who heard this voice and said, yeah, let's put up with that for an hour and a half, but it becomes so grating so quick to me.
Oh no! A tiger! Help! Help!
But again, I feel like kids would love this voice. I don't know, if I was a little kid, I'd probably be laughing a lot at him, and like I said, how can I be angry at a kid's movie giving you what kids want? I'll also say what you're probably not supposed to say, the baby is ugly. It's weird because the rest of the people look okay, there's nothing really off-putting about them, but just looking at this baby kinda freaks me out. I just did not form an attachment to this thing. And when that's the emotional center of the film, that's gonna be a problem. But honestly, a lot of this stuff is fine. I mean, Denis Leary isn't really doing his usual shtick where he tells a lot of like funny, fast lines, and that's a little refreshing, but they don't really give him anything else to do. He's just kind of a tough guy with a secret, and yes, it does result in a liar reveal story, but to their credit, they get past it really quick. I mean, like, refreshingly quick. I mean, there's no sulking or just walking around feeling bad for themselves. Like, they address it and they move on. I really, really like that. Ray Romano is probably the best cast in the movie. His voice surprisingly really goes well with this thing. I think because his design puts so much focus on the eyes and not much else. I mean, you can't really see the mouth or the eyebrows or anything like that. I think the voice really plays a big part in giving it personality. And Ray Romano, I think, is often underestimated when it comes to his dramatic performances. I mean, yes, this is a comedy and it's a kid's comedy, but when he needs to do the serious moments, he does pull them off. And without much, the lines are still very short and very tight, but he still gets across a lot of emotion every time he says them. He's one of the few things I legitimately wanted to follow all the way through. But here's the thing, I'm an adult in 2022 looking back at a kid's movie, a kid's CG movie from 2002. That isn't Pixar or DreamWorks. Am I really supposed to be that sucked into this movie? I just straight up don't think it's made for me. I guess I would say if this was a direct-to-DVD movie like it came out today, I'd say it's above average, and if it was a film that came out today in theaters, I'd say it's below average. But it's not awful, nor is it great. But on the plus side, everybody disagreed because apparently this film was such a big hit they made sequel after sequel after sequel, and maybe one of those will do better. Maybe they'll evolve to a point where I absolutely adore these films. But this first one didn't grab me, and it's not a surprise. The trailer didn't grab me. Nothing about this grabbed me. But yes, I think there's definitely a crowd for it even today, mostly of kids, but I think even one or two adults might get sucked into it a little bit too. So is that a recommendation or not? It's an like I said, a tricky movie to review, but I know there's a lot more of these to look over, so I guess I'll see you in the next age.